Okay, so in this explainer, we're going to deconstruct a pretty provocative video that's been shared a lot online. It claims to show a serious culture clash happening in Japan. Our goal here is to break down its central claims and really look at the specific evidence it uses to build its powerful narrative. And right off the bat, the narrator of this source video does not hold back. This quote, it just sets this incredibly confrontational tone from the very beginning. It frames the entire issue as one of harm and aggression. And you've got to remember, this is the lens through which all the other evidence is going to be presented. So what's the video's main point? Well, its core argument is that certain Muslim immigrant groups aren't just moving to Japan. No, it claims they are actively disrespecting its laws and social norms in what it portrays as a deliberate attempt to impose their own culture on the country. Now, to back up that big claim, the video starts with its first batch of so-called evidence, and this is all about alleged tensions happening in public spaces. This is where the narrative really begins, focusing on everyday interactions and behaviors. The first visual we see is this scene on a train. You've got two men sitting right next to a woman, but the rest of the car is totally empty. Now, the source video doesn't present this as just a weird coincidence. It's framed as a deliberately invasive act. And here's the source narrator's raw reaction to that scene. It's really explicit. He immediately interprets the action as being intentionally rude. And you can see he straight up attributes it to a specific nationality and uses it as ammo for his larger argument. Next step, the source video shows a bunch of clips of Muslims praying in different public places. We're talking train stations, department store fitting rooms, and even in front of a pork shop. The narrator argues that this isn't because there's a lack of prayer rooms, but that it's actually a tactic to, in his words, impose their will. He also makes a point that these moments are often filmed, framing them as deliberate public statements. The argument then shifts from the visual to the auditory. The video shows a South Asian festival and claims that the noise level is basically a form of cultural assault. It paints this picture of Japan as a very quiet society, where loud displays like this are a major violation of unwritten social rules, a societal crime, as they put it. And from there, the narrative really escalates. It moves on from social norms to alleged criminal acts. This part of the video is all about trying to show a pattern of lawlessness among specific immigrant communities. So the video just strings together this whole laundry list of really serious accusations. We're talking about everything from dangerous stuff like unlicensed driving and throwing roof tiles to a physical assault on a politician and even financial misconduct with welfare funds. Now, this is a crucial point, according to the source. It claims there's a cover-up. The video alleges that official data actually proved its point about migrant crime rates, but that authorities responded not by fixing the issue, but by hiding the statistics from the public. So after laying out all of these alleged problems, the video then pivots. It asks, okay, what's the response? And it focuses on a very specific and very nationalist form of pushback. And that whole response is pretty much embodied by one person in the video, a man named Ken Kobe. He's presented as this sort of citizen journalist, a nationalist, who is taking matters into his own hands. The absolute centerpiece of this response section is a confrontation that Ken Kobe starts right outside the Tokyo Kami, which is the city's largest mosque. This location becomes the stage for the video's central cultural debate to play out. And the conflict really just boils down to two opposing views. On one side, you have Ken Kobe asserting his rights as a Japanese citizen in a public space. On the other side, you've got mosque attendees questioning his motives, asking why he's filming. And all the while, the video's narrator is reinforcing Kobe's position, framing it as a totally legitimate defense of his homeland. And this quote from Ken Kobe himself, it perfectly sums up the viewpoint that the video is championing. It's a very clear ethno-nationalist stance. The idea is that there are distinct, separate cultural spheres, and they just shouldn't mix. Simple as that. To wrap it all up, to really close its case, the source video makes a final visual argument. It contrasts the public presence of two different non-native religions in Japan, Islam and Judaism. The narrator uses some pretty aggressive language here to draw a really stark contrast. The Tokyo Mosque is described as massive and confrontational, shoving that in your face. But then, in contrast, synagogues are depicted as hidden, assimilated, almost invisible, literally looking like a Japanese building. So here's the final takeaway, the video's mic drop moment. It's all about assimilation versus visibility. The narrator argues that acceptance is granted to communities who blend in, while those who build prominent, culturally distinct structures are seen as creating friction and annoyance. You know, this whole video is a fascinating case study in the power of a constructed narrative. By carefully selecting certain clips, adding that really charged commentary, the source creates this potent, easily shareable story. And it ultimately leaves us with a pretty critical question. In an age of viral content, how do these powerful, often one-sided narratives really shape our understanding of incredibly complex issues like immigration and cultural integration?